Hey guys. Wow, do you know the history of the room you're in? Did anybody tell you that? So this room is a cauldron from which a lot of the Christian music industry sprang, and was famous for a long time. I used to read about it when I was just a kid dreaming of coming to Nashville to make my way in the music industry. So you're in the right place. This is a little bit of hallowed ground. Hopefully there's some anointing still left and it spills out, but a lot of history. So as Larry was saying, I kind of sprang up from the music industry, and I spent 24 years as a record producer. And once I got to Nashville and was making a living in the music industry, it was like, this is it. This is my dream come true. This is what I set out to do since I was 16 years old. And, only a fraction of the people who attempt something like this can find a way to make it work. And so I was sitting pretty good in the early 2000s thinking, hey, I think it's gonna work for me. I've been doing this for 15 years. For the first 10 years, I thought every record was my last record, but the calls kept coming, and so I was able to make my living making music, and I've got to work with a lot of really, really cool people. But that did begin to change for me. And in 2004, 2005, early 2005, I kind of came to a crisis of faith. I began to wonder who God really is. How does this story really work? And I began to realize most of what I think that I know about God, somebody else told me. So in 2004, I sat down with the Bible. I have several of them in my house. You probably do too. Most people do. They're collecting dust, or they're on the end table to look spiritual. But 97% of professing Christians do not read their Bible, very much outside of church. And I was just one of those guys, even though I'm a pastor's son. And I sat with my Bible in my hands, and I said, God, can you speak for yourself or not? And I'm going to read this. Every page of it, because I know all of the right verses. Like I can walk around anywhere passing out promise verses that we all have memorized, but I don't know what their context is. I don't know where they come from. I don't even really know what they mean other than what I've been told. Can you speak to me? Because I'm not in rebellion. I'm looking. I'm wide open. And that changed my life. And so we get to 2005, and this idea of podcasting has become mainstream in the United States. Everybody's talking about it. And it wasn't until October of 2005 that I listened to my first podcast. And my first podcast experience was of a man who every day when he would drive home from work would rant about his day at work. So he's bashing his coworkers and his boss and his kids and he's just venting basically, but it was funny and amusing and so different than, slick programming that we're accustomed to. And light bulbs started going off for me. At the time, I thought this could revolutionize the music industry because this is going to allow an artist to go directly to their fans. Like, does not have to be slicked up. This doesn't have to go through a marketing machine. There are no gatekeepers. There are no hurdles. People can say whatever they want if they can find somebody to listen to them. And I thought, this is going to change things in the music industry. Come December of 2005, I've been listening to podcasts for a while, and I had this dream. And I couldn't tell you what the dream was. You know how you have a dream and you can't remember it, but the feeling of the dream lingers? You know what I'm talking about? And maybe some of the messaging of the dream, but you don't really know what's going on. That's what happened to me. I opened my eyes, and the first thought was, I want you to podcast the Bible. You guys, if you knew me then, you would know that I'm a deeply introverted man, very accustomed to being around famous people, but behind the scenes, making them sound good, making it work for them. Fine with that. That was my role. So, in 2005, if you told me someday you're going to be in Koinonia speaking to people, I'd have peed my pants. Like public speaking was never on my agenda of things to learn how to do, or even a desire to do them. And so to hear the message, I want you to podcast the Bible, is a paradigm shift. But it was one of those things that would not leave me alone. And so for the next week, I start researching. And at the time, there was no just push this button and your podcast is online. You had to have pen holder and be kind of nerdy to sort this out. And so as I started breaking down the pieces of how I could even do this, I realized, well, from an audio perspective, I'm an audio engineer. This is what I do for a living. I can do this part of it. It's the me part that I'm not so sure about. I'm not the guy that stands in front of a microphone. I'm the one that sets it up. So I'm not sure about that, but I think I can figure out this code. And I took this leap of faith. My wife was confused. Everybody was confused. But I just said, I'm going to read the Bible. I'm going to read a portion of the scripture every day, and I'm going to read the whole Bible in a year. And I hope a few people will come along with me, because if they do, that will keep me accountable, and I will. And that's how the Daily Audio Bible started.